had toys. Everybody used to come, love to play with my stuff because I always had the cool stuff.
Yeah, I've heard that story too.
Right, but what they didn't know is that before I could really play with a toy, I would have to take it apart to see how it works. I mean, it's one of those things. I would get it, I would look at it, I was like, oh, Mom, this is great. You know, do the little, I'm happy I got this. Mm-hmm. Then I'd run off to my room and I'd disassemble it. Okay. Then I'd look at it, put it back together. Then I'd play, I would play with it. So it was like taking it from this magical thing to the individual concepts that made this thing, put it back together. And I've told people this story in the past. And people would say frequently, well, it's not a toy anymore. Why would you want to play with it? You see what it is. I'm like, that's why I want to play with it, because
you know how it works.
I know how it works.
So I got to ask this question because I know I've heard the story before, but did you take it apart and put it in order so you could remember how to put it back together?
Interesting question. No.
Really?
No. I'm telling you, that is a good question. I took it apart with my mind first. What does that mean? That means I could look at this and I say, okay, this does this, so it goes here. This does this, so it goes here. Oh, this is for that. So I didn't have to put it in order. I understood why this stuff was there.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Because when I took things apart, because I did that too, I'd take them apart and I'd set them in descending order from what I took off first, so I could follow the pattern to put it back together.
Right. And that would make logical sense. But in my mind, knowing the order doesn't tell you what you need to know, because I mean it may or may not work. But what if you can improve upon it?
That's deep too. So that spatial quality, that's pretty impressive, especially if you were taking things apart as a child.
Yeah.
Because most people don't have the ability to see past what something is.
Yes, right. Yeah, I'm looking at this gear. Okay, this gear, when this gear turns, it turns that. Okay, so you know what I'm saying. Based upon that, I say this. I take this loose. Then when I put it back, I see how it needs to go. This can't go on first because I won't be able to get the gear in or whatever it is, to make it do what. And it was my roller coaster. I love my roller coaster. Love the little.
Wait, did you have the Hot Wheels with the orange tracks?
Oh, had the Hot Wheels too, but I was a car. Now I'd hot rodded cars. I mean, I would stick paper under the tracks, under the springs, because that would give you better traction. It also give you better connection and speed on the tracks.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And see, family, he doesn't know this, but I have other names for him. One is Bill Nye, the science guy.
Bill Nye, the science guy. Okay.
And sometimes it's the Nutty Professor.
Nutty Professor, right. Okay.
It just depends on the circumstance.
Yeah, I received that, so.
But those were like the coolest people in the world.
Right. So, just coming up through that time, I mean, that's always been inquisitive like that. Then you get to high school, great times. Music was my life. Music and science was my life. And once again, we revert back to understanding the reality of life, understanding that life is finite, understanding that you have to believe it for what it is. And it was getting close to time to graduate and go to college. Then I had the discussion with myself. Okay, great at music, great at science. How many great broke motherfuckers play music? Oh,
quite a few.
Quite a bit. As a matter of fact, there's one cat come up here and play with us. Don't even go to this school. He graduated high school a long time ago. Still coming up here playing with high school kids.
Let me guess. Would that be Doug?
No, Doug was with us. This would be Chip.
I don't think I've heard the story of Chip.
Yeah, Chip played bass, but cool cat, but came and sit in with us, but that's what he did. He gigged, even if it meant coming to play bass with high school cats.
So I'm sure there were some lessons that you pulled from that.
Yeah, I'm like, shit, yeah. Or you could go into science. Well, how many broke science people you know? Well, you don't know many science people, period. But the understanding is that scientists do better than musicians.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Show you right.
So there you go. So that's how I made that choice to get into science and pursue. And I was a lab rat, and I loved chemistry. That's one of my second favorite toys my mom bought me was a chemistry set. And, man, I kept that stuff for who knows how long. And then when I ran out of those supplies, hell, I started finding household stuff around here. Bleach, ammonia. Yeah.
You were messing with caustic?
Oh, yeah, man. And I say, man, y'all smell this. Because I knew it was going to happen.
Oh, Lord.
Stuff like that. So.
What'd you blow up?
I blew up, really didn't blow it up, but it did blow up a little bit. I was in high school chemistry, and we had the magnesium sulfuric acid, and we say, well, take a little bit of this and a little bit of the magnesium, put it in there, and it bubbles up, and you get the little torch, and it goes poof. Shit, science teacher leave. I grabbed a whole roll of magnesium, stick it out in the sulfur. That motherfucker bubbled out, put that lid in. Boom! It didn't blow up in my face or nothing, but it shot flame because it was a thick-ass bottle. It was in or it would have blown up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right about now, you could kind of get in trouble for that.
Oh, yeah, hell yeah. I could have got in trouble then. Absolutely. What I did, I've always loved chemistry. So my mind was chemistry, was doing medical technology work. But I always liked healthcare, kind of diverged into healthcare by working in the operating room, and then I was just hooked.
So all those years back in the day, taking apart those toys, landed you in the operating room?
I kind of did, yeah. Just understanding the pieces of, equipment, the bodies, and all that stuff. Kind of went back to school, left the operating room as a scrub nurse, and started doing family practice once I became a nurse practitioner. And it's always been the same thing, progressing, doing healthcare, making choices based on what's best for me in the real world, but understanding that understanding the truth and how natural law, which I didn't know at that time, really works. How does the world really work? How does ultimately brings you to how does the human mind really work? And how does it interact with this thing we call our environment? So all during this time, I did start dabbling in philosophy and psychology and those types of things. But that was just my hobby.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you, because it's interesting. So I'm gonna go a little bit deeper with this question.
Okay.
Because I think we've had this conversation before. There was a time in your life when you were not doing what you were supposed to be doing in a class, and the instructor gave you a book.
Oh, yeah. We can define that moment as the end of the dark ages. But, yeah, there was a time I was in college and partying hardy, DJing hardy, drinking and doing all other kind of shit hardy. And was really in a bad place. Grades was jacked. And I was just taking a summer class in English. And teacher, still doing the same stupid shit. But during that class, she said, well, you can get extra credit. She told everybody that, not just me. I'll give you extra credit if you read these books, but I'll give you double extra credit if you read Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Well, it don't take a rocket science to figure that one out.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to do the Zen thing, and got the book. And once I read that book, I realized that what I was pursuing was quality. And I wasn't crazy. The world was crazy for not wanting to pursue it as well. So, got a D in the class.
Still passing.
No, not in my world.
No, by university standards.
Yeah. But got a D.
Definitely not in your world.
Got a D in the class. And it was so funny because I wrote her a letter thanking her for the D.
That's powerful.
Yeah. I told her I would read the book, I would live the book. I really say you changed my life. Dr. Frank, never forget her. And so at that point on, I went ahead and became an adult. Living the lessons that I have learned that I had forgotten somewhere along the way. And just turned it around,
So sometimes, I'm sorry.
No, that's it.
Sometimes when you divert from your path, you would say it's fair to say that there's always, well, I shouldn't say always, but you're fortunate when someone comes into your life and offers you perspective. So Dr. Frank came into your life and provided a bit of perspective for you to get it.
Right. Yeah, so what she basically did was gave me some information that I had been seeking. And really during that time, in any time, I would say if you're at a dark place, low frequency place, not good, it's probably because you're seeking some sort of validation. And when I read that book, Phaedrus was so me that I knew that I was okay. I knew it was okay to think the radical stuff that I was thinking, to behave in what many people would say the radical ways, because Richie's a cool guy, but he's a little odd. He doesn't do things like most people, that type of stuff. And I just thought, well, I can conform somewhat. But it was okay not to after reading Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, that, you'd have to read it. That's something else I noticed about the book, because before I started reading the book, I would talk to different people in my circle. By that time had become somewhat eclectic, and I would tell them that, and the universal thing that they would say is, yes, you need to read the book, and no, I'm not going to talk to you about what it is.
I remember that conversation.
Yeah. It was like, you need to read the book, and you just need to read it. I'm not going to tell you what it is, So, and I understood, because it's not something somebody can tell you about. It's something you have to experience for yourself.
That's very true.
Yeah, so family, if you want to really understand some things about life, the mind, and all that, and a somewhat entertaining story as well, read Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance by Robert Percy.
It is available on Audible.
Oh, yeah, it's everywhere. I mean, I think they even have classes on that book now. So
I think I've seen something like that.
Yeah. So, just after that point, I just really got back into doing the right things, which to me meant living up to my potential And of course, things turned around.